Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Derek and today we are playing Kerbal Space Program. So in this episode we are going to land on the moon, hopefully. So here's our moon rocket. We got a little bit of interesting staging going on down here. We got some boosters. But let's hop right to it and see how this thing goes. So I'll probably speed up this launch sequence so you guys don't have to watch it in real time, as it shouldn't be terribly interesting. So let's rocket away. Alright, so here we go with this launch. You can see we take off, and as you'll notice, we throttle down pretty quickly. We've got a lot more thrust to weight than we need on this ship at this point. Not quite enough delta V, unfortunately, but we'll be ditching those boosters. There they go, and then we're going to coast here for a little bit as we get up into the high atmosphere. We'll finish out this burn, and we'll have just a little bit of fuel left in this top stage. So back to old me. There we go. So we're into orbit. We have almost no fuel left in this stage, so it's going to be mostly just an orbital stage. We'll go ahead and set the moon as our target here and add our maneuver. Right, so we will focus our view on the moon. Oh, that is already almost perfect. Actually, a little zealous. Maybe we pull that back just a smidgen. Okay, that looks pretty good. We can fine-tune that as we actually do it. And we'll adjust our inclination mid-transfer. So that's not too bad. 850 meter per second burn is going to be very doable. So let's slowly rotate our ship over to that maneuver point, and then we'll take off. Now we're only got 91 meters per second of delta V left in this stage, and then it's going to be running on that much smaller engine that doesn't have any alternator. And I keep forgetting to put solar panels on these things. Good night. You think I'd learn at some point. So we're going to have a constant electrical power problem. Something to look forward to in the future while we do this mission, because this guy doesn't produce any power. Now we should have a decent amount, because that thing's going to fill up when we do fire the big engine. But man, I've really got to remember to put some solar panels on these suckers. They're not even heavy or anything. There's really just no reason not to put them on there. Alright, let's do it. So there we go. This burn's going to take a little bit, but it shouldn't be too terribly bad. And our electric charge is already starting to deplete itself. Let's take a look at it from this map and just see how we're doing. So as you can see, we're going to move our orbit out. We'll meet the moon at that point, and we will run right into it. It'll be great, except we'll run into it slow enough that we land and not crash. So, very important difference there. I think the Kerbals on board are particularly interested in that difference. So we will, for them, we'll try to not crash, but land. It's just a controlled crash. Alright, we're getting pretty close here now. Start throttling down, give ourselves some more fine control. Alright. Very close. Okay. We're going to cut the engine here while we just take a look at this, and bingo. 32 kilometers. That's not too bad. And you can actually see that since we're passing behind the moon, its gravity is kind of going to pull us on our ejection from the moon, and that's why our orbit that we would have afterwards is so much larger than our current one, which you would just, kind of complete the circle. That's called a gravity assist, so we're actually getting some energy from the gravity of the moon. Obviously that's not what we want. We want to come in and, enter orbit, do a landing, all that fun stuff. Now we still got 2 kilometers per second of delta V, so we're looking okay at this point. That transfer stage was, more of a get into orbit stage, and not as much a transfer stage as I would have liked, but we've got a pretty good amount of delta V up here, so I think we can still do this, assuming we don't run out of electricity, which would be unfortunate. So let's go ahead and time warp our way over to the moon. look in this view. We can see it there. It's coming kind of at us. We're kind of meeting it in space out here. And you can see we're not overshooting its orbit like we did in that earlier video. And that means we didn't spend as much energy to get this encounter. There's the Kerbnik landed on the moon. We did that earlier. You guys remember that one? Okay, and I kind of forgot to adjust the inclination, but since we're landing, it's not going to be a big deal. We're gonna not really have a problem with it since we're gonna land. Okay, so we're now high over the moon, right? Let's see if there's any science that we can get from here. We should be able to get an EVA report. I don't remember if we've done a manned flyby of the moon yet. Crew report. Oh, looks like we have done a manned flyby. And our guy was able to get out then, wasn't he? Yeah. Alright. So we will time warp ourselves to just over the surface of the moon. Need to switch ourselves around here. I'm going to try to do this using as little electrical charge as possible. Now we will move ourselves to about to our periaps, and then we'll burn retrograde to pull ourselves into an orbit. We might actually be able to just kind of land right about here, because this really wouldn't be a terrible landing spot. So we'll turn that on, full throttle. In fact, I might just land here, so we might be able to actually run our guy over to visit the Kerbnik. That'd be cool. So, 500 meters per second left to burn off. We gotta make sure we've got a good 600, maybe 800 or 900 to be able to get us back to Kerbal. At least 600, because we need like 600 just to be in orbit. So, you know, it's distinctly possible that we're about to strand Jebediah here on the surface. That's, it is possible. It's starting to look more and more likely the more we do this. That's the wrong way. So let's move over to here. We're gonna do something like this. See how close we can land to this thing. And it's not going to be that close because I'm not that skilled of a lander. But it should be pretty fun nonetheless. So let's take a look at the map. Maybe take ourselves out of time warp. We should be able to extend our landing gear. And there's our other craft. So let's flip ourselves around. Cannot believe I forgot to put solar panels on this guy. That's very disappointing. Alright, terrain altitude's 20 kilometers. Coming down pretty fast now. We're going to have to remember to give ourselves some braking distance here. Meters per second of delta V left. We're now 500 meters from the surface. Let's kick our engine on here. Right at retrograde. Nice soft touchdown. We'll turn that SAS off so it doesn't waste a lot of power. And we're only 3.9 kilometers from our little surface vessel. So that is fantastic. Let's go ahead and take some data. We've already got some of this data, obviously, because we landed the other guy right over there. So So as much fun as it was to land next to our own guy, so science-wise, probably not the best idea. But we haven't ever got a crew report from here. We certainly haven't got any EVA reports. And let's let go. And we'll go ahead and plant a flag. Mun 1 landing. One small step for Kerbals. It looks like we can't take surface samples yet. That's unfortunate. We may have to go back to our area and see if we can't upgrade and get that ability. So let's see if we can't fly on over to this thing. Flying is obviously faster and easier than walking over there, but if we do run out of EVA propellant, we can always just walk back. It's not going to be the end of the world. Really, we should have dropped our... We'll drop our science off because we might want to come back for this thing. Yeah, what do we got? 2-point-something kilometers? 2.2 kilometers? There we go. That's a nice spot for that marker. Can read it pretty easily there. So here we'll just try to make sure we don't lose too much altitude. Although we do want to lose some. Because it looks like we're well above him. Start putting the brakes on a little bit. Our altitude too fast. Go, coming in for a nice landing. Perfect. He didn't even fall over. Look at that. And he can come over and look at the curb neck. Too bad he can't take the fuel out of it. that would actually be helpful. Or the solar panels. We could use both of those things, couldn't we? There we are. Planted a flag out by one of our other vessels. That's kind of fun, isn't it? Right. So we'll take a look at it. We're not actually going to plant a flag at it, because that would just be cluttering up our flags, but that's kind of fun. I've never visited one of my vessels before, so always kind of wanted to do that. Alright, let's start flying back to where we belong here. And I actually think I'm just gonna set him down in this crater over here and go back and see if we can't get the contract to be able to take surface samples, because that'd be pretty helpful. I don't know if this crater here is actually a different biome or not. Let's see about slowing ourselves down some. Yeah, we'll just get the other one. Oh, the moon's highlands. I don't know if that's where the other one was from. We're going to go back and see if we can get surface samples, so let's go back to our tracking station. Alright. It's this that lets him do it. Yeah, it is. 400,000 bucks. Let's do it. Because that's going to be a lot of science that we can get. If we can get some surface samples from these guys. So, let's fly over to Jeb. Grab our surface sample from this highlands, which I guess is not going to be a separate biome. I guess they taught him over the radio how he's supposed to do that, since he hasn't been back yet. I guess this crater is not a separate biome, because if it was, it wouldn't have said highlands. It would have said, you know, some crater. But that'll be alright. We'll be able to come back to the moon many, many times once we get a little better at it, get some better stuff. As you saw, that surface sample was worth like 100-something science. Science here now says we don't have this EVA report in space. So oh man, I was holding down that key for a long time. I'm running out of fuel here. Alright, slow down, Jeb, slow down. We're at 70 fuel. 0.70 fuel. Need to put the backwards brakes on and really stop. We don't want to overshoot our ship. But we also don't want to slam into the ground. He's going to hit the ground. Oh, that wasn't too bad. Don't be such a baby. Alright. So we will run him back over to his ship and hop on board for a minute. Since we've got this surface sample. Okay. Alright, and he's on board. This is the Highlands. Let's see if we EVA him, take data, store data, get back in. Crew report is the Highlands, yeah. So not going to get anything new from that. Alright, well, we are going to take a break here, and when we come back, we'll see if 756 meters per second at delta V is enough to get him home, or if he's going to be stuck in orbit of the moon. Tune in later to find out the thrilling conclusion.